And this is the latest theatrical / HBO Max release. It is Those Who Wish Me Dead, starring Angelina Jolie and several others. Todd, you're starting us off on this one. Tell us all about this film.
Okay, Angelina Jolie plays this lady named Hannah, who is a smoke jumper, which is someone who's like a first responder in forest fires, and she's haunted by a previous episode where some people died under her watch, and she comes across this boy who just witnessed his father get murdered by a couple assassins, and she takes responsibility over him and tries to protect him from the killers and the elements in the forest. I can't imagine on paper this is exactly how the movie is supposed to play. Like it's really cut frantically, and it doesn't really linger on any character. As a result, it's sort of disorienting, and every character seems kind of thinly drawn. And it's a weird return to live action for Angelina Jolie because it's sort of a nothing character. It's not really one of the more interesting characters in the movie even. And she's way too old for that role, I feel like. It should have been like a Gina Carano or a Ronda Rousey or something. It's more of an action-y kind of role and not a whole lot of emotional range. So, I mean, I'm like her biggest fan, but it was kind of a misguided casting decision. It probably was on page looking like Emily Blunt and Sicario or something, but it was off. Taylor Sheridan wrote the script and directed the movie. This is probably a script that no one else really wanted to do, probably similar to Wind River, but that's definitely in his wheelhouse. But he can't really do everything. Like he's a talented writer, but his like neo westerns are his forte. So like Yellowstone or Hell or High Water, that's where he made us most comfortable. But if he branches out, it probably should have been given to a more polished director to handle this type of material. Like I think Ben Affleck or something would be great with this kind of movie. Nicholas Hoult and Governor Carcetti, what's his name, Aidan Gillen, are really an oddball combination as the assassins. So there's a little bit of the Gecko brothers from Dusk Till Dawn in there with those guys. Honorary Oscar winner Tyler Perry, he's hardly there. He thinks he's some sort of younger Ving Rhames, I guess. What's weird about when we're reviewing a movie, I try to like take mental notes about like plot points and for the podcast or like about characters, but I wasn't really able to do it. And I'm not really sure why. It was like, I mean, maybe it was too hard to follow. It didn't really make it or didn't make it possible, or maybe it was like compelling enough that it overrode the fact that I didn't really feel like it was working. I mean, like Sheridan can craft a good scene, but like, which we talked about a little bit in Without Remorse, but like here it's just unhinged and it doesn't really work. But one of my favorite parts of the movie was Medina Senghor. She plays like the pregnant wife of a police officer played by Jon Bernthal, who is in every Sheridan movie, I think. She's a really interesting character, probably the most interesting one aside from the assassins, and she really adds something to the group, and she has more layers with her performance than any other character did. I'm torn because I feel like this is exactly my kind of movie, but I don't think I liked it, but I can't help but feel like I did in some ways, even though it had really big issues. Like I felt the exact same way about Judas and the Black Messiah, so I guess I'm going to give it the same rating and put it right next to it on my 2021 list. So 2.5 stars.
All right, 2.5 stars from Todd. Zach, where are you at?
Okay, so this movie, I feel like Stefan on Saturday Night Live. This movie has everything, right? You've got first of all, you got the natural disaster angle, right? You got the fire in the wilderness in Montana or wherever this movie takes place. You got the badass nonconformist played by Angelina Jolie. We know she's a badass because she's drinking shots at the beginning of the movie, and then she does the thing where she's on like the back of a truck and the parachute. She's like Keanu Reeves in Point Break, okay? She is just a nonconformist. She's not going to listen to anybody, right? And then you got the kid in danger from the mob, right? This is like the 90s, man. Yeah. Woohoo. Bill Clinton, O.J. Simpson. Let's do it. Okay. Why isn't Jan de Bont directing this movie? I recast this movie as Rene Russo in the Angelina Jolie role. We got Sylvester Stallone as the cop, Willem Dafoe as the villain, and a young Brad Renfro as the kid in danger. I mean, can we do it? I want to see that. That's what I want to see. Okay. The truth is, this movie, whether you're going to enjoy this movie completely depends on or not on whether you take it seriously. I thought, oh shit, Angelina Jolie, she's like an Oscar winner, human rights activist. She does important shit. I thought this was going to be like a capital V, capital I, very important movie, which I quickly because directed by an Oscar nominee. And I quickly realized in the first 20 minutes that this is not an important movie. This movie is trash. It is garbage. And it is kind of wonderful trash and garbage, okay? If you can suspend every bit of disbelief in the entire world, if you can embrace a movie that has a machine gun, a blowtorch, a grenade, I think there's a rocket launcher in there, and an axe, you're going to like this movie, okay? If you're going to like mobsters going after the lawyer who's driving across the country, and then you got the cop who's, I mean, this is like, Dante's Peak meets The Client, meets Twister, meets every 90s trope. It's kind of fantastic. I was not expecting it to be this way. I thought it would be a serious movie, but it goes totally over the top. I love that there's a character who literally has his face burned off, but in the next scene, you can't tell the difference, right? I love that there's a huge fire in this movie that only has an impact when the screenplay decides that it's going to be a big plot point or not. I love from one scene, Angelina Jolie and this kid are running away from danger, and then the next, they're swapping stories over the fire, and she's giving him advice about how to talk to girls, okay? This is fun stuff. It is the summer. We're going to take off our masks finally, thanks to the CDC. I'm ready for some movies. I'm ready for the summer. I hate school. Let's not do this ever again. Let's bring on summer movies. 3 stars. Why the hell not?
That's a top 5 Zach review of all time.
Sorry, the best reason to watch this movie is I didn't have to pay for it. It was on HBO Max. Praise the Lord.
Todd, did you go to the theater for this?
No, I watched it on HBO.
I did too. Yeah, I have a feeling I'm kind of in between you guys. I'm giving it a borderline 3-star. And honestly, I feel like I'm really close to what Zach was saying too. It felt like a throwback to the 90s. It felt and really what it was is it was this like mid-budget fun action movie that we don't get anymore. I mean, we're in those times where everything has to cost hundreds of millions of dollars or has to be an indie project, and this is one of those that's in between. And I miss having these movies around, and so maybe I gave it 3 stars because I was kind of rooting for it. I agree that Angelina Jolie didn't necessarily fit in that role. I think Jon Bernthal, I liked him for more in this than I have in almost like anything else. Maybe it's because he had hair. I don't know. It kind of felt like a role that Kyle Chandler should have been playing. Maybe that's why. Just give Kyle Chandler roles to Jon Bernthal.
Why was Kyle Chandler not in this movie?
I know, right?
That's real. Yeah.
Well, Bernthal is in all these. He was in Sicario. He was in Wind River. Like, he's in all of Sheridan's movies. Like, I mean,
that's true.
He fits that like hit what he does well. I mean, like, he's great in Sicario, I feel like. But I feel like we're all on the same page here. Like,
I think so. I think so.
I mean, this is my kind of thing, but I wasn't liking it. But at the same time, I couldn't really stop watching it.
It was just so damn entertaining. And whether it was good or not, I thought so. I think it really got interesting once the kid found Angelina Jolie. I thought that it got a lot more interesting then. Aidan Gillen and Nicholas Hoult played great villains. Aidan Gillen.
All they ever do.
I know. Well, Todd mentioned, what was it, The Wire that you mentioned him? I obviously haven't seen Game of Thrones, because if you had, he's Littlefinger. And Nicholas Hoult is always good in a role like that. I think it also could have been a lot better, like if they had focused a little bit more on the forest fire. I was thinking the whole time and said, this could have been like Twister for forest fires if they had just, thought a little bit more about focusing in on that. But it was like they wanted to tell this story with as little detail as possible. Like, we never know exactly what's going on and why he's running. And we never really know that much about why forest fires go the way they do. We just know I read the wind wrong. And that's all we get. And apparently that's enough.
And lightning strikes that conveniently knock out the power when the screenplay requires it.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
Like her little perch thing, like the staging of that scene when they're like trying to get them down was completely ridiculous but awesome at the same time. I was like, I can't believe I haven't watched that in a movie before. If they're not up there, then you're gonna burn the place down. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. I was like, oh yeah.
And instead they just shoot it up.
Yeah, because they go go climb the mountain or whatever, and go so they can look in. completely abandoning their post.
You know, after they'd had their faces burned off.
Yes.
Anyways, yeah, 3 stars. It's just kind of it's a fun movie. It tries to take itself seriously at times, but never too seriously. So, yeah.
I mean, I feel like I would appreciate the Marvel movies if they were more like this, you know? I mean, this movie is just unapologetically stupid. It makes no bones about it. It doesn't try to be anything better than it knows it is. Like, the whole like parallel narrative strand at the beginning of the movie is just ridiculous. Like the first 10 minutes of this movie make no sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I have no idea what was going on. It kept cutting every scene like maybe like a minute short.
And then
I'm like, what the hell is that?
Went back to Florida, and then a house blows up, and then you got Angelina Jolie taking shots and going on a pickup truck. Like what? I disagree. Also, I do want to point out I disagree with both of you about Angelina Jolie. I think she's great in this movie. I think she looks the part. I don't know what.
Old.
No way. I think this is
someone approaching 50 and chasing forest fires. Come on.
This is Sway in 20 years, Todd. Okay, this is the sole sequel to Gone in 60 Seconds.
It should have been an action star. I was saying, like I said, Gina Carano or Ronda Rousey. They would have been totally fit in that universe.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like those ones either. I don't know who I would have wanted in that role, but.
Can we also talk about how I'm never going to be able to tell this movie apart from the Halle Berry movie Things We Lost in the Fire because it has the same name and the posters are very similar, except one is red and the other is black and white.
They are nothing alike. They could not be further apart.
I know. I'm talking about the title, in case you didn't get that. Things We Lost in the Fire and Those Who Wish Me Dead, one of which is actually about fires. The other one is about someone who wishes the other person dead. But I don't think that... Although also the title doesn't make sense because no one really wants Angelina Jolie dead. So who's the me? Is it the kid?
Yes.
It must be.
Yeah, I was thinking there's very nothing but the truth going on there. Like the whole goal is to get this kid on the news or something. Like I don't know. It was really lame.
I loved it. I wanted to see the interview at the end of the movie. You know,
to show his evidence that's on paper that just got soaked from spending a night in a creek.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I also think that we're overlooking the best fact about this movie, which is according to IMDb, Nicolas Cage was considered for a role. I mean, that's perfect. The real question is which role, because I mean, you'd got to think it would be the Aidan Gillen role. But maybe it's the police chief role. I don't know. Or
I think it's the Tyler Perry role.
Oh, that's possible. That's possible.
But for one scene, I don't know. I feel like he would be more of like the Angelina Jolie character role.
Maybe he'd be like the other guy that's always with Jon Bernthal, the old guy, the police chief.
Oh yeah, the Jeff Bridges role.
Yeah.
Well, so I feel like
be the kid's dad.
I feel like one of the things that was missing from this movie was some good comic relief. Like I thought that when Tyler Perry was coming on, that's what I thought we were going to get was some comic relief. I think we needed a John Goodman / PSH / Chris Farley type comic relief in this movie. That is one thing that was definitely missing. And then we would have had a classic on our hands, gentlemen. And I think we would have had to do a deep dive of this movie next year, a la Uncut Gems. Because I think there is potential in this movie for it to be an amazing classic. It didn't go quite far enough. It went 110% instead of 120%.
I said a different director, and it would have probably played a little bit more close to, I don't know, close to something.
I just love how much time we've spent on this movie.
I'm also really disappointed that both of you kind of liked it. Like, Terry, I'm just disappointed that you liked it. I was really hoping to be the one to defend this movie. I was prepared to come on with both of you just trashing it. I really just wanted to defend it. But I guess, in a way, I'm just glad you see the light because it actually is something, I guess.
It is something.
Is it a good movie? I don't know.
I think we're all in kind of the same spot. I think we are. It's just Zach and I are a little more willing to defend it, and Todd can't get over himself and be like, no, I can't. I just can't.
And it's a Todd movie.
I almost went there too.
That's the thing is that's a Todd movie. So like, what needed to happen, Todd? What's missing there?
I don't know. I mean, I everything I was watching, I was like, yeah, this is exactly something I should like, but it's not working for whatever reason. It's not doing it. But I mean, it was kind of like a train wreck. I couldn't stop looking at it.
And there's really good advice in this movie, which is that if you ever get stranded in the wilderness, go to a creek, which will go to a river, which will lead to a town. You learn something, you know? You learn, because as a smoke jumper, she's learned that information. Or was it the father who said it? Either way, it's good information if you ever get lost in the wilderness. You learn something from this movie.